sing this next song about anything at all.
Welcome, any and all, to Dreaming in Paradox. This is a Wednesday edition. I am your host, John Olson.
And I'm your host, Jose Venutolo.
And joining us once again is our guest for the week, Vidal Diaz.
Super Ninja!
So,
Euro cha, yeah, it's like, he didn't see it coming. I thought you were a ninja.
Never
You
see
need
it
to
coming.
sense that.
I mean,
It's like, oh,
these
I'm gonna get attacked.
need work.
Your focus needs more
yeah,
focus.
I need to meditate on these things.
Just meditate with a beat.
You don't
Meditate.
join your friends on a show for YouTube and expect to be ambushed every 5
should.
minutes.
You should. I mean, you know us.
That is when you will be ambushed.
That is
Exactly.
one of the downsides to having this ninja name. I have to mention this. I've been attacked more times since embracing
brought it
that. I had it coming. I should have seen it.
So, for this Wednesday, and I think this is going to be a normal Wednesday thing,
Yeah.
it's going to be guest topic. So today, our guest, the Super Ninja, will be bringing his own topic to the table.
Spotlights on
I'll
you,
put my cards
buddy.
over here, and we'll talk about whatever the hell he wants to talk about.
You know, in the words of Humphrey Bogart, he's looking at you, kid. So cheesy. So cheesy.
gonna
They,
give you an
they're
eyeball.
looking at you,
Yeah.
kid.
All right.
Yeah, I wanted to geek out with you guys a bit on Star Wars. We got.
Oh,
Star Wars.
I'm a big Star Wars buff myself, and we got these new movies
Jose's-
coming out.
Jose's got the toys
Yeah.
to prove his.
Those
his
are
love.
those. I'll
little
talk about them.
Jawas.
I'll talk about them.
The new movie's coming out in December. I am excited about it, and I'm just curious. What might be your feelings on this? I mean, we are literally about to go through our third wave of Star Wars movies.
Nice.
third
One
wave.
good, one bad. We've only lived through the bad wave, really. I mean, I don't remember.
Well, I think some of us are a little older than you are, John. So maybe.
That's true. Do you remember any of the original movies coming out?
Well,
in theaters?
I was too young.
Yeah.
Because we're talking
We're all too
3
young
year
for the
leap.
original.
We're talking 77, 80, 83.
Yeah.
I was 3 years old when the last one came out, so I never saw them in theaters. But I could consider them part of like that. I grew up with them. I did grow up with them. They were still relevant.
Did you see
to
the
that point.
re-releases?
Yes,
the
I did.
90,
I did, and
what
I
was
went
that,
to the movies to see
97?
them.
Yeah.
90, Yeah, I did see the re-release.
I saw them all that way. We
Because
had
they came
That was
right
great.
before the episode 1, 2, and 3.
back when they came out in San Diego. We had still at the time these one-screen theaters that were 60-foot screens, so they were really big. Pretty much now you have like IMAX is the only.
I caught them in Manhattan. I used to go with an uncle who always took us to like the biggest screen, especially because my whole family basically is Star
Well, the
Wars.
first one we kind of had to see it there. My mom used to tell us stories about when she was a kid,
yeah.
seeing it. And She
Yeah.
was like, we had to sit in the front row,
Oh.
and so like the ship was so crazy. And
Right.
so when we went to see it, there was literally a line around the building, and we sat all the way in front and center. I said front and center seat, and just it is something incredible to watch it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
To just like.
Even I'm sure by then you
the
had seen it
opening
on
shot.
TV.
Oh, we had the VHS. We burned
Wore
them
those out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the same feeling. I remember. You never forget that opening shot in theaters. It's something about that.
They should re-release
Brilliant.
those original movies.
I would keep.
I would-
They could release them every couple of years, and I would go every time.
Right.
It's that good.
There's something I want to mention because you said it and I had no idea. I mean, I thought that wasn't the reality here. But my first experience of movie theaters, where I come from, were theaters that had a screen, but it's like 500 people. It
Yeah.
was huge theater, and there was like one single movie playing. Like and maybe depending of the time, it would be like a movie on the matinee for like kids and stuff, and then when you get to night, there was like more serious or more adult movies. But that
It's
was
just
my
the one
that was
screen,
my
right?
first experience. I mean, there were 2 theaters in my city, and they both were that. And then you will just. And the thing is that if you wanted to see several movies, you needed to wait weeks for a new movie to come to the theater.
yeah, that makes
And
sense.
then granted we were kids, so there were like sometimes there were movies, sometimes there weren't movies that we could watch. But I remember the first time they opened a multiplex or something. It was like 4 screening rooms, and they were like, of course, like a quarter of the size of it, and it was like, oh my god, this is so small. But 4 movies, I can just come out from one and go to another. It was like
incredible,
oh
right?
my god, it was so great. And I didn't know that you had the same experience when you were a kid.
Yeah, we had 2 theaters that were very close to each other in Mission Valley that were 1-screen theaters, and there were a bunch of multiplexes too. And like usually you go to those, but like we had the option, and they were the biggest screens.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because there were
we city folk didn't have those same issues to worry about as a Brooklyn boy, but there was a time before Lowe's, AMC, all these, whatever the companies are that own everything now, essentially.
Yeah.
There
There's
were
3 of them now. Regal, Lowe's, AMC.
Yeah, there was a
Those
time
are the big ones.
before the monopoly that it was a small theater everywhere. Like it was always a 1-screen, 2-screen theater at least as far the way I remember it.
Yeah.
And I mean that's all gone now. But I was fortunate that again my family was hooked on Star Wars. So
nice.
This was not a let's just go to the local theater. Like we had to see it in the biggest screen possible at the fanciest place, whatever. And you never forget the experience of waiting on the line, because that's actually part of it. The fans are just as they're enjoying themselves out there just as much as they do in the theater, and they're just waiting to rally and cheer the opening and all that stuff. Are we that enthusiastic going into episode?
I'm really afraid that we're gonna miss the opening night tickets. I'm just afraid they're gonna sell so fast.
They are going to sell
think
fast.
That I might miss it. I signed up for like a thing that was supposed to notify me. I'm still just worried that like by the time I see it, it'll have been like a couple hours back, or like I'll wake up in the morning, it'll be like, oh, at midnight they went on sale, and then I'll be like, oh, I have to buy them right now, and they're sold out. That's my fear.
You get
with
the
movie.
notification. You get up to go to the bathroom, and by the time you go to the bathroom, it's
That
Because I
happens.
also
Concert
want to
happens
see
in
them.
everything.
I want to see them opening night, and I want to see them IMAX.
I think this.
I gotta see it.
very
You have to
specific.
see it.
I would prefer not to do the 3D, but I don't think we're gonna have the option.
Is it supposed to be 3D?
It is
I don't-
3D,
I don't-
and it was a
I didn't hear
post-conversion
anything about
3D.
3D.
I'm not a fan of 3D.
I'm not. I like it when it's done right, but like too often,
It's not.
it's not done right.
I don't feel it's
When the
necessary.
wave started,
No.
we were already here. I was already here in New York, and like
What, Avatar?
no, but even before Avatar, My Bloody Valentine 3D came out.
Oh,
It was
I
shot in
haven't
red. It
seen
was
it.
shot in 3D, and the 3D in the movie was really good.
Really?
The next movie I saw in 3D was Avatar. Amazing 3D.
Yeah.
Like, it's really the only way to see it.
Oh yeah, I mean
I saw
that's
an
a
IMAX.
visual. It was a visual film. You wanted to see
I
it.
saw an
that way.
IMAX 3D on opening night actually,
Nice.
and it blew my mind.
Same
it was
for
amazing.
me, yeah.
What I realized later was that the more powerful element was the sound of the IMAX theater. Because I saw Avatar again in a regular, 3D, but like a regular theater, and I was like, oh, that sound made all the difference.
Mm-hmm. And Star Wars is another sound.
Yeah.
Sound strong.
You
I
definitely
mean,
want to feel
That John Williams soundtrack is
it's
gonna
like-
be
like when the ships take off or land, you want to feel it, right?
Yeah.
And the IMAX theaters like really hit that. So, I don't know.
So the excitement's there.
It's there.
You,
You know,
just-
it's there.
you guys,
I'm
you-
afraid
you're-
I
you
won't
guys,
get in,
are
but I
you
want
guys
to.
not feeling burned by? I mean, there's skeptics for obvious reasons. There was
I wonder if it can meet expectation, because expectation is getting higher by the day. It's getting higher by the day. It started out very like everybody was very wary. As soon as the first trailer came out, we were on board.
Right.
We watched it a whole bunch of times the first day it came out.
I think
It's a really-
everybody did.
It's
yeah,
a
I
really
think.
good teaser trailer also.
It teases.
They haven't flooded us with information yet.
It teases.
Tickles.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tease. It's nice.
It is nice.
And they haven't given us sort of the tsunami wave of
I'm enjoying
promotion
that though.
yet.
Yeah,
And
I'm enjoying
I'm loving
this.
it. I like that they're just like
Trickling it
out.
in, right?
I'm also a little scared that like in November we're gonna get trailers that just show you everything.
The ending.
They shouldn't.
yeah.
They shouldn't because
I mean, luckily I don't have traditional television anymore, but I do have the internet. that I'm on a
traditional
lot.
television like that.
Yeah.
It's incredible that that's a thing now. Traditional television.
To be fair, I do have cable and everything, and it almost serves no purpose in my house. I watch like 2 shows on it. I don't even know why.
Who watches real TV
TV.
now?
Okay? on YouTube these days.
Everything's on Netflix, and YouTube,
Everything is
and
online. It's the
you know,
future,
Hulu.
you know?
Like, I don't know, man. I think, like you said, the idea that they're trickling it in little by little is a good way to go about this. They're not bombarding us
Everything they've said so far feels right.
so far,
And
right?
I feel like that is the general consensus. That thus far,
Should we
the
speculate?
message has been really... In a minute.
Okay.
We got time.
Okay.
Because, yeah, we should.
Okay.
Yeah, we should and we will. Okay. We agree on that.
But, like, everything is... Like, from the get-go, they were like, all right, we're gonna use the original trilogy to find our inspiration.
Even down to the film they're using
And,
to
like,
shoot it on.
They're shooting it on film. They're
Yeah.
doing it with
They
the
shoot it on
practical...
film?
The
Oh, wow.
the emphasis on practical effects over digital effects. They're like, of course we're going to use digital effects, but like starting with the practical is a smart idea. The only film that's ever really tricked me in terms of like, holy crap, that looks real and not. There's two films. The first one was Jurassic Park. That
The first Jurassic
The
Park.
first Jurassic. It really holds up, and they use a lot.
It
of
holds up
practical
today,
elements.
yeah.
It holds up today.
It holds up brilliantly
The
today.
other one that is almost, the effects are almost pure digital is District 9. But
Yeah.
they look real.
I like District
And
9.
it's really the only example like that I have. So like that's the exception to the rule, right? Normally with digital, you can tell at a certain level. You can tell.
Yeah, I don't think tech. I don't know how far it's gonna go. I mean, look how far it's gone already.
It's crazy.
But in just our like, you know, if you compare like even Star Wars Episode 1 already to Episode 3, there's a 9-year gap between the two, a 6-year gap, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
The
even between
effects
those two.
difference is huge.
Between Episode 1 and Episode 2.
The
digital effects
it was
are vastly improved in the second one.
and the budgets you imagine are roughly the same for each film.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Like, it's all coming out of
Yeah.
I mean, they know,
Lucas's money. I mean,
like, imagine this. Imagine the fact that you are a company who buys a franchise like Star Wars, and you know already that it doesn't matter what you
gonna
do
print
with
money.
it. You're gonna make like it's shooting the floor. You know, you can't miss.
But you know what?
Yeah, I like that one.
They're taking the approach that like, okay, this is a cow, and we want to milk this cow for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
If we burn him again now, this movie will make all the money in the world.
Yeah.
But
then it's
will it
over
degrade?
if it messes
you know,
up.
like, but
Yeah,
then we
yeah,
start
yeah,
to
yeah.
lose them.
Yeah, I'm not saying
And
you're
like,
gonna
so,
do
but
it.
if this one, if they hit it big, then like they've got like
The possibilities
got
are
five
endless.
more lined
right.
up.
The possibilities are endless. I mean, this guy
They've already got 5 more lined up. If this one
It
hits,
can go.
then all those other
Yeah,
five
we
are
got
guaranteed to hit.
the Rogue
Like,
movie coming out.
Yeah,
was-
the
I was-
Rogue
That's
movie.
gonna be amazing.
I was-
I'm more
Uh,
excited for the mainline prequels.
of course. I think who
Ryan
Yes.
Johnson is
Han-
a great
yeah, yeah, yeah.
director.
Han
directing
Solo is back. Like the idea that we're gonna get.
That's not really what excites me, honestly.
I'm a Han Solo guy.
I love him,
so
but like Harrison Ford is like, you know, he's so great. He's like Clint Eastwood these days. You know,
He is the Clint Eastwood of these days.
Joey.
He is the Clint Eastwood of these days.
He's so gravelly.
He
and
can
just,
do no
like,
wrong.
curmudgeonly.
Han Solo is
He's-
royalty to me. He can
Honestly,
do wrong.
Royalty.
Honestly, to me, he's.
I mean, he's married to a princess, so he's royalty.
No pun intended.
She's still a princess. Her planet
is.
was destroyed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's countries that don't exist and there's still the royalty around.
That's like Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, and there's like 3 of them. It doesn't mean anything to anybody but him.
Leia.
Leia doesn't go around saying I'm
It's
Princess Leia. I
princess.
think.
This is princess,
Yeah,
you know?
they're really
Like,
only using the first
wait,
two.
is it true that they're doing spin-offs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
you
is
know, they announced
brilliant.
Rogue One.
Yeah, that's a story of how they got the Death Star planet.
So okay,
isn't
I have
it?
a problem with it.
Oh
I
my
was
God,
on board
it's
with this idea initially. I'm a little bit off because they chose the wrong heist. So like,
Which heist would you choose then?
What the hell you mean?
there's because there's like when they initially said, you know, it's about a team stealing the Death Star plans. I assumed it was in reference to the mission that she mentions in the third movie. She goes, many Bothans died to bring us these plans.
Oh, Return of the Jedi. Death
Return of
Star.
the
Oh,
Jedi.
this
So I
one.
thought it was
That
Death
one.
Star 2.0 that they're stealing the plans for. Because
Is it not?
No, it is the original Death Star plans that Leia has that she gives to the droids. But what made more sense was that like Leia would have just been able to sort of steal it while on a diplomatic mission. Right? She would have been part of that heist. That was her thing. Like to me that was a more generic story Whereas like we had to re-steal them, and this time
So this
the Empire's on guard. Like we know a bunch of people died. There's a reference to it that people love.
Okay.
Like, people love that.
But I mean,
every line in
I'm
Star
sure
Wars
they
is so dissected that like just a line like many Bothans died. These plans.
The expanded universe is covered. The Bothans,
None
you
of
know,
that's canon.
and
None
right,
of
and
that's
like,
canon.
and
It's all out
then
the
it
window.
all right. Then Disney was like, okay, guess what, guys?
But I was like, that's
Screw
a
it.
question I want answered more than the original.
Well,
so
I mean,
like I was a little
Interesting.
miffed.
I
by
think
it.
maybe they're just literally just trying to connect 3 and 4 as much as possible.
I don't think they need to though. They absolutely don't need to.
It looks like from what you're saying, I'm gathering that this movie literally is going to end where 4 literally will start, right?
Yeah, it seems like it has to.
Yeah,
It's going right there.
It's like right.
But then they're doing a Han movie, which I think is a bad idea.
a young Han Solo.
Young
A young Han Solo movie?
That's,
No,
that's the
I
second
don't-
one they
I heard
announced.
about a
no,
Boba
I
Fett
don't
or
think
something.
that's good.
They were in talks to do a Boba Fett, or that was the rumor. Was that they were in talks to do a Boba Fett movie, and they recently announced that it's going to be a young Han movie by the guys who did 21-22 Jump Street.
Oh, really?
And Lego
I
movie.
didn't hear anything.
So
about
they gave
that.
it to them, and they announced that it's Han Solo.
Well,
That's
I
crazy.
mean, well, look, we gotta face this fact. We are living in like the Disney Star Wars era. This is a totally new day, and like you said,
I want them to move forward.
They get it
Like,
right.
Get out of the past. Like going
yeah,
prequel-
exactly.
Going
I
prequels
agree with
didn't
that.
help Star Wars before.
Um,
Go into the future. Like that's like I want to know the new characters from the new movie. I want to go with them into the future of Star Wars. Like pass
And beyond.
pass the torch.
they're
I'm
telling
being
us
honest.
Like,
they're
honestly,
telling us
I
both stories simultaneously. They're literally gonna milk the cow on both ends.
Right.
like if you think about it from a marketing standpoint, you can't lose.
Yeah.
Really, it's like
universe.
they're gonna get the older fans with the older films, and some of the newer fans who are just gonna.
me. I just want the main line.
It's a
movies.
universe. I mean, that can go forever.
And I
Like,
thought
like
that
they
was a
could
great
go
idea.
10,
I just
11, 12.
I wanted these new Outrider movies to be in the universe that they're going to introduce to us in this new movie. Because this movie's going to come out, and if it's good, we're all going to be excited about this new universe.
Right, 10.
About this new incarnation
Yes.
of the story.
Yes.
And
7,
I'm
8,
gonna
9,
want
10,
more-
11, 12.
I'm going to want more stories related to this time. And then we're going to have to like detour and go to the past. Like,
Well, look, they're
it's
talking-
not what I want. I may not go to see those movies unless they look
You may not
outstanding.
have to, because look at Marvel, what they're doing with their line of movies.
They're going.
They're
They're
series.
they got
We're talking Star Wars.
they got the main films, and they're almost kind of doing the same thing with. You got like these side stories that people may or may not care to see, but the point is, look, Ant-Man got the money, right?
Yeah.
Did everybody go see Ant-Man who went to see the
It
Avengers?
didn't
Hell
make
no. You know,
as much,
it did
clearly.
fine. Apparently, it did good money.
I need to see it.
But you don't need to see those movies necessarily to follow the
Yeah.
Avengers arc, right? So,
Yeah.
I may end up sticking to just the main Star Wars movies.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a choice to make. You
I
know,
think they are
some
gonna be
fans
good.
will be divided on
I think
these.
they are gonna be good.
I won't be able to. I have to.
You'll have to see all.
You got to give it all a chance.
I mean, at least
I always
maybe not in
withhold-
theaters.
I always withhold judgment until I see the trailer. If the trailer looks like garbage, I'll pass.
Got it.
Like
It's-
that's how I felt with this Star Wars movie. I was like, I'm withholding judgment until I see the trailer.
I think
The trailer
everyone.
blew me
I think
away.
everyone was with you on that. Nobody. I mean, we all heard about Disney.
Nobody wanted to hope until we saw.
Right, we got hype, and some of us were like, "No, this is the worst choice ever." And you were. I think you were right to do either,
Right.
right?
Give it to Disney.
When you heard the Disney news and they immediately
They were
announced
immediately
7, 8, 9, you were like,
You don't buy Star Wars without
"Yeah."
without making more.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, Disney-
And
shouldn't we be happy?
everyone was cautious, but then the debate went on. Oh, but look what they did with Marvel. Look what they did with this and this and the debate can go on until the end of time. But the fact is, they got it, and now they're doing it. So it's up to us to.
JJ was a smart pick.
go-
He's got a good head for business. He knows how to make fans happy.
He's the one who makes me feel that this is not gonna be like. He's the one who makes me feel that this is gonna be good. It also makes me feel. It also feels interesting that he, as far as I know, the first director has been involved in Star Trek and Star Wars, who not necessarily are rivals.
yeah.
They're not necessarily rivals, but the fans
a lot of
feel
people
a
actually
rivalry.
felt like he made his Star Trek movies too Star
Too
Wars.
Star Wars like, right? I mean, that's the
Do
debate.
you think so?
I'm not.
It is
I'm
there.
not sure if I can go either way on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I get why they made the Star Trek movies the way they did,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't really go
You make
wrong,
movies for a modern audience, right?
right? I mean,
Like,
yes.
And like the Star Trek shows were largely talking.
a lot.
Yeah,
It
low
was
on action.
deep philosophy stuff, religious stuff. I mean, science. I mean, you had
Sometimes
some
really good stuff.
really
but
good
like,
stuff. But
as far as a blockbuster, it can be.
there were
tougher.
one or two of those films. The original
First
Star
Contact
Wars.
was great.
First Contact would be the first one that comes to mind. That had everything you want.
Yeah.
Do you
Time travel,
think-
robots.
Do you
The
think if
whatever you want to
Cyborgs.
classify the Borg as. I
Cyborgs.
mean,
Do you think if you watch an episode, any episode of Star Trek from the original one, you could just like without the visual, just the audio, would you be able to follow it? Because it's a lot of, it's as you say, it's true. It's a lot of talk. It's a lot of like, oh, this happened. Oh, the Raiders showing this or whatever. Like, oh, launch the missiles. Oh, they hit on target. Like it's all narrated.
Yeah.
So you could probably even it's like a radio show.
right.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about it.
Because I mean, there was a lot of techno babble on there too.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
you couldn't just be all science and then not. There was always the analogy. They would always
You have to break it down.
Break it down for those who didn't follow. This is like throwing a string through the needle, and like after a 20-minute explanation,
Then they give you
they
the
just give you
metaphor.
that, and it's like,
Oh, okay.
got it. I feel smarter, and
So wait,
and you follow the show.
You don't think that this Star Wars will live to expectation? You're thinking that
I-
it's racing too fast?
I don't know. I
think the
think
fear-
all it really needs, at least for me, is to be a good movie on its own legs. Like, not too much fan service, but like, just a really good story, a really strong story. I think if it's that, I'll be fully satisfied.
Because that's how I felt
And I
about.
think that's how they're doing it, where it's like there is fan service, but like the fact that the trailers haven't laid it on too thick with Han, Leia, and Luke, I think is really smart. It sends the right.
They know
message.
that's why we're going to pay.
That
It
is
sends
true.
the right, it
Yeah.
sends the right
True.
message too. That like, that is something special, and we know we'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what we don't know is what's new. Is what's new going to hold up? Because that's what's going to carry us forward.
Yeah.
The fact that that's where the focus is, it has me
I
feeling like it will meet at least my expectations.
I feel confident in what I've seen and heard so far. I'm trying to avoid spoilers and stuff because the internet today, man, I can't even browse on my Yahoo without getting a script synopsis. I'm looking for
headlines
the
themselves.
weather, man. Like I'm looking for the weather, and why did I need to read this? I'm trying, but it's hard.
It's hard.
In this modern day, man.
And
Like,
sometimes they
I
spoil it in
can't
the
kinda
worst
resist,
places.
too.
it's in the, like I'm literally
I
looking
t-
for weather,
Look,
and I'm
when-
finding this.
It's compulsive. I see the Star Wars headline, and I'm like,
When episode 1 came out, because I think this one will leave the expectation. When episode 1 came out, I thought there's no way George Lucas can announce it 3 years earlier. There's no way in 3 years he's gonna meet any expectation. With J.J. Abrams.
J.J.
I always say Abrahams, and then it's like Abrams.
we've been over this.
Okay, yes, I know. So I feel that he will live to the expectations, but it's sometimes they need to be. When episode 1 came out, the the CD with the music came out like a month before. I think
the
I think
soundtrack.
me and all my friends would bought it, and then there was literally a song called Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral. I go like, why would you
Whoa,
do that?
really?
Like I turn it, I go like, oh, freaking
Oh
spoiler!
my
Like, come
God.
on, why would like call it something? Call it I don't know, the sadness of a jet, like something.
yeah.
Somebody
Anything,
dies,
anything.
that's okay, but don't call it Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral because you already gave it
Not
out. Like,
very,
it's just
for
crazy.
somebody so brilliant, John Williams, not cool with your
Not
titles.
cool.
like,
It's
where's
it's the
where's your
most descriptive
creativity
things,
there?
Like, what is this for? Oh, it's for Qui-Gon's
no,
funeral.
just the
It's
title.
gonna be like
Why would I
Qui-Gon's-
call it anything
Yeah,
else?
I
Like,
was like, oh,
thanks.
like,
A good title though for a song is Duel of the Fates.
oh, beautiful.
Duel of the Fates is
good.
Yeah,
Duel of the
yeah.
Fates is good. Yes.
Because that could have been anybody anywhere.
The only real scene worth watching in the whole movie, honestly.
Hey, the pod race.
My singing is so
I thought
good.
was pretty good.
You hear that?
Pod race is pretty good.
What's
What?
that?
My singing was
Oh,
so
it's
good.
the worst.
Soprano, not no.
I tell you, I just bring a
Should
new
we talk
level
theories?
of singing.
Should we talk theories?
I live with an opera singer. I had to step up my game.
Oh, right.
Like, she sings everything, and then now I'm come up with my own songs, and then they're awesome. They're awesome. She has an advantage, so then my handicap makes my song better.
You just use your hand. You got to rack up 3
It's
points.
true. Let's speculate.
Okay.
Speculation.
I have
Would you put
sort
a
of
title?
theory
Speculation.
that I've been wanting to get out there. I
Put
guess I will.
I guess now I would.
Wait, is this potential spoilers we're talking about here?
No, just your
spoilers
idea.
For
Just your idea.
Episode 1, which we've already.
Oh,
spoiled.
okay. I thought you meant for the new film.
No,
I don't know
I mean
any
for the
more
new
than you
film.
do.
I don't even want to think about what the new film has
I
in it.
I want to bank on. I want to just like
Okay.
take the title and explain what I think about it, but speculate.
Okay, this is. I want to talk a little bit for a moment about midichlorians.
Oh yes.
The science behind the Force.
One of the single most hated aspects of the prequels, and for me, for a long time, it was the thing I absolutely hated the most.
More than Jar Jar Binks.
More than Jar Jar Binks.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
More than anything.
You look like Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, ouch.
I can't kill you on camera. That's the only reason why you're still standing.
Because, like, it showed that Lucas was completely out of touch with what made Star Wars awesome.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that anyone can be a Jedi, that anyone can be Luke Skywalker, that I could have Force powers if I just connected enough, was like
The magic.
was the
behind
magic.
it, you know.
And then when he put a fucking number on it, and he's like,
his power
he's like-
level is over
Yeah, his power level-
9,000. like-
Exactly. It was just like, no, this is wrong. I thought of a workaround. JJ has said that he's not going to address midichlorians in the new movie.
I don't think they should touch the word.
I think they should use my workaround. Because my workaround, I think it elegantly solves the problem. And tell me if you agree.
Okay.
The idea that the midichlorian count, the midichlorians are something that as you grow in your attunement with the Force, like as you grow in strength with the Force, you can attract midichlorians. So it's not something you're born with, but it is something that's in your blood. So like the midichlorians represent sort of the Force in numbers.
And maybe Anakin.
And it's a measure. So we can but if we look at you now, you might have 50 midichlorian count. But then you go through your Jedi training and whatnot, and now he's skyrocketing.
Okay.
So I think that if you used a workaround like that to say that the midichlorians aren't a one number your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
They are something that are attracted to people who are in touch with the Force.
Okay.
I think that
I think that's a way to fix something
fix it.
I don't
It's
agree with, too.
Because they're not willing to erase the first movies from canon.
No, they're not going to.
So we're stuck with that stuff.
We're stuck with that. I mean, that's great.
We're stuck with it. We're stuck
stuck
with
with
the
it.
way it all played out, even in all its terribleness.
Oh man, come on! There were some redeeming portions of
There
this
were- but,
film. It wasn't all bad.
It was enough bad that
Puritan.
I don't.
I mean,
feel
come
bad
on.
saying
We're gonna have to do a sit through with all the originals,
that. Okay, we spoke
and then we can have a long fight about them.
earlier today before we were doing the show. I mentioned to you what I thought would have been a good fix, and I don't take credit for this. I heard it somewhere a while back that if Darth Maul killed Qui-Gon in the first movie,
What? Okay.
but then
Spoiler alert!
But then Maul lives to go on to the sequels.
Which we all agree was probably should have, would have, could have been the coolest thing
Darth
ever.
Maul was cool.
Nobody wanted to see Darth Maul
Darth
die.
Maul was underused. He was here. He looked cool. We didn't know a thing about him. Then he died.
He didn't even have to talk. He only had one line,
Yeah, one
and
line.
I was still like, "This is the coolest guy
He
ever."
had a cool weapon, a cool fighting style, and he could have had a cool backstory.
And Ray Park did a brilliant job.
Yeah, good job, Ray.
Yeah, you're the man, Ray.
Cast Ray in more movies.
Yeah.
But then it would have given Anakin a really good motive for revenge, because then he would have wanted revenge on Maul for killing his master, Qui-Gon. Right? You establish a relationship. Qui-Gon saves him from slavery. He saves him from indentured servitude, and gives him a chance to be a Jedi in face of the Jedi Council, going he's not ready. He does it anyway. He's the ultimate father figure that he doesn't have, and then you kill him. It's such good motive for him going bad. Then both Anakin and Obi-Wan have to struggle with the idea of revenge. And Obi-Wan gives us the example of someone who's risen above it.
Right, because we know Obi-Wan turned out
Because
to
he
be
turns
alright.
out good.
That's
and
interesting.
Vader is the one who succumbs to it.
Now you have two journeys.
And is willing to do anything to get it, and is willing to go to the dark side, and is willing to embrace that. Instead, they killed off his mom by random characters who immediately get killed.
Mm-hmm.
His revenge,
Sand people.
His
yeah.
revenge has no time to build. Like it has no time to develop and fester.
But to be fair, in him killing the Sand People and not feeling remorse, it was more of a thing of revenge.
They just made him a sociopath.
He's
just like.
But if they were answering the question, does revenge heal the wound? It didn't. So in a way, that's kind of.
Time to contemplate the question.
You still could have got that with the mole story, though.
Absolutely.
Right, and I agree that this is.
And
brilliant.
like that's definitely how you should have gone with the
I
mole
agree.
story. And like there could have been an awesome epic battle between Anakin and
Darth
Maul,
Maul.
and that would have been fucking awesome.
And it still would have led to Obi-Wan and Anakin inevitably anyway, because they were parallel. I mean, their fight was inevitable. It didn't change that dynamic. Dooku, what would you have done with someone like Chris Lee?
You don't need to be there.
He
Doesn't need to be there.
He was just shoehorned in, you feel like?
Yeah, like, initially I was mad at both Qui-Gon and Darth Maul because to me they were thrown in, they weren't ever referenced before. They were thrown in and killed off right away.
Right, yeah.
And it was like because they weren't referenced. But it was like instead he didn't lean into the changes that he made. Instead he was very weird about how he wanted it to fit together.
I think he was going more for shock value.
Maybe.
The moment. I mean, that's my only explanation. Why would he kill Qui-Gon? And really, Qui-Gon's death had no real story with Anakin. Like, it didn't resonate with him at all.
Anakin should have seen him die.
Right, but like...
Anakin should have been around.
There was never a moment where Anakin was ever at a loss, let's say, a father figure loss. Because he always had Obi-Wan. Who inevitably, his relationship with Obi-Wan became a brother thing. But he never had that feeling of, I lost my father.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that would... I mean, they still killed Qui-Gon. Where the hell was that feeling? Like, there was... I mean, Anakin is at the funeral, and the scene is just...
Yeah, I really feel like there were good elements there, and I feel like they were just not used quite right. And I think this is what happens when you work in a bubble, and everybody says yes to everything.
Right.
I mean, and like, honestly, especially before the episode 1 happened, why would you say no to George Lucas?
Right, because till then he done everything right.
Like
I think also...
I wouldn't want to say no to George Lucas, but he needed somebody who could look at his things objectively and be like, look, I'm your friend.
And this is bad. This is bad.
This is a bad decision. And if you do this, everybody's going to hate it.
Like who
it's going to tarnish what you've done.
Who allowed him to do Jar Jar? Who the hell?
Nobody said no.
Said no to that. Who was the one poor guy that probably got fired for that? Because he's probably dead. We never heard because we've never heard of this guy, right? So I'm assuming
it's
one
the kind of
guy.
Thing when you're in his presence and he's like, "Oh, this is gonna work," you're just like, "Okay."
Or you're like, I don't know, maybe not. And he's like, no, this is gonna work. And it's almost like a mafia.
Look, I think
like he gives you his hand and his shoulder, and he's like,
I think his mistake.
This is gonna work.
I think his mistake was
Get out of here.
trying to do the exact same thing. I think that was his mistake. His mistake is he took the original Star Wars, he saw the formula, he saw the characters, and he tried to create characters that will be the representation of the characters of his original ones. So Jar Jar is supposed to be C-3PO, you know, like he had
terrible replacement.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it's that, and he just took it a little too far. Also, the fact that when he did the original ones, he had all this was original. All this was new. All this was new. And then
George,
he
you
didn't
did a good
have
job with the original.
Yeah, I love George, man. Like, but he's not without fault. So
he didn't have the restrictions that he had right now, like a PG-13. He didn't have studio going back and say every 13-year-old should get in the theater. You're not gonna do the same thing that everybody has to be 17 because this franchise sells more between 13 to 17. So then he had to take this character from being a funny character to a complete buffoon.
He didn't have to make him.
And then, but
borderline
I mean, you
racist.
need to understand also like the
Borderline.
things that he like
all the way racist.
He made a mistake and not asking anybody. He did make a mistake by saying, "This is what we're doing. I am the creator. I am the mastermind on top of this." But your idea is great. Like
he had all that power, though.
If he had gone with that idea, like imagine
He just shown the script to a number of people.
Imagine an episode 3. Imagine an episode 3 in which Anakin succumbs to the dark side. He wants to kill Darth Maul.
And the only way he can do it.
He wins the battle. He takes the weapon away from Darth Maul. Darth Maul is right there. He's weaponless.
Like Dooku.
And then Ben Kenobi comes in, goes, okay, you got it. And then he comes back, he's like, I don't got it, I'm gonna kill him. And then when he tries to strike, he cuts his hand because you're not a murderer. And that's how he loses his hand. And then eventually, I don't know, like because he has to die, he takes like a blade or something, and then he has to be killed. But it's like, what is that?
Really
it could be like, what the fuck did you do? But that's the thing, you don't kill an unarmed person. I am a Jedi, and you respect the Jedi. Like that will be more dramatic. Like he lost his hand because of that, not just because he did a jump and the other guy just
Dooku
like,
just got whooped his ass. The way he lost his hand was like.
The way he lost everything, where he's just like, I have the high ground.
Yeah, you get the hell out of here. He lost his hand in a similar fashion. He went in thinking he was the man. Dooku turned him into a,
the vulgar display of powers with Yoda, I don't know if I mean, I liked it when I saw it. I was young and I was like, oh my God. But the fact that that guy can just move a planet, like, I feel like,
what?
Man, he makes 2 Star Destroyers like freaking just go and like
Clone Wars.
Like if he gets really concentrated, he can freaking move up. Like this guy, where is he from? This really little green thing. He's like freaking. It's a leprechaun.
So you're gonna argue.
Leprechaun. 1,000 years old.
You can't argue about Yoda.
Oh my God, Yoda. It's like, you know what we should do? We should do our best impersonation of characters in Star Wars.
Oh God!
Just do it. I wanna see that. Yeah, do Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. I got no voice.
Do
for
Chewbacca.
You lose.
Okay.
You started the competition and failed.
Tell me.
I don't know. It needs warm up. Do an Ewok. Do an Ewok. It works at the best.
No, Ewoks. I did.
Oh no, it's Jawas.
I did an Ewok.
Jawas.
Right?
What was your next question?
No, I was trying to bring us to Jose's thing where he
Which one?
wanted to theorize about the title.
Oh, the title. Yes.
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens. So this is
obvious,
I hope this is
All
not.
the Jedis are gone. We're getting a new wave.
Exactly.
Of Jedis.
I hope this is not. I hope this is not a spoiler to a lot of people. But this is the thing. You had the Republic that had the Jedi
There are no
Order.
spoilers for the upcoming movie because
I know, but what if I nail it? What if I go right on the nail and people
then
watch
you
this?
get to be like, I called it.
Okay.
Then you get bragging rights.
Got it.
Or
So-
Stone.
And it's on camera.
So this is my theory. This is my theory. As far as I know, there is a Jedi planet. A planet for not necessarily the Jedi's come, but that's where the main temple was when they started being an order. That planet has been lost in time and space or whatever.
You're going back.
So
Yeah.
So,
This is eons
so
old
there was a time in which there was the Old Republic, and they had the Jedi Order, and the Jedi Order basically search. It's like the Buddhists, like they go and they search for the Dalai Lama, but this is like 1,000 Dalai Lamas all over the place.
Right.
So they find these people who have this ability, and they train them because they know if they let them go, then they are just anomalies. Just a person that have like telekinetic power. They become like like in their society with no
The
training.
witch, yeah.
Exactly, they're the witch. So then they train them. So nobody who's potentially a Jedi was overlooked, and they train him. Okay, what happens when the Jedi Order gets disappeared? Like, because Vader or Anakin kills all the Jedi that are known and trained.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they stop
Not even
being
close.
born.
No, yeah,
It means
that's-
that in every planet now there's going to be kids that are going to be born
not
with
like
the
he is the
curse
Force.
of the Force and not be able. So some of them will use it for good. Some of them will become
some
villains.
of them I think will use it unconsciously because like a big thing that the Force does that they always talk about is that it just gives you like intuition. You're ahead.
Yes.
You're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would just unconsciously use it, like, and become very powerful or
Yeah.
influential without realizing that they're using.
Just
the
an
Force.
it'll
they're
just be
using the
natural.
Force.
They would just
Right.
seem like people. Who,
Palpatine, he was able to manipulate the political system as much as he was a badass Jedi.
So look,
or
for a long
Sith
time-
Yeah,
Lord.
like more so than
he was
being
a
badass.
mental genius. I mean, he literally
He was.
outsmarted everybody.
I mean, to take the whole
Except for the
galaxy.
audience, of course, who
Yeah,
were
except
like,
for us.
Take the freaking whole galaxy.
He's just like putting the
The
blinders.
political
right?
aspects of 1, 2, and 3, I did like. I mean, they could be a little more intricate, but I did like the fact that he manipulated everything in order to forced the creation of the empire.
But that is because you are obsessed with dictators.
But this is the thing. Yeah, that
is
will
interesting,
know.
And who
It
doesn't
was-
love
it was
a
a
good,
good thing.
backstory of
I
It
do
was-
love
it was a
how,
good thing.
Like, it is all Jar Jar's fault that everything went wrong.
Right. It was,
Jar Jar's fault.
you know what?
Jar
It
Jar
was
ruined everything.
It was almost like
Well,
Lucas
actually-
consciously made that joke
Yeah.
for us. He was like,
Who
who
could I
was the
have?
guy?
Who could
You
I
know what's
have
that?
throw it all
And
away?
Jar Jar was like, all the power to you. You got
But
this.
who's gonna listen to Jar Jar?
Apparently,
Like, Jar
the
Jar
entire
just
Senate.
convinces everybody.
Not only that, Jar Jar appears in
Is
episode.
Jar Jar Donald Trump?
Jar Jar.
Oh,
Jar Jar Trump. Jar Jar Trump.
they were listening, and look what happened.
Or
Well-
is there gonna be a Jar Jar that will get Trump elected? Who's gonna come out?
Did
and
you
we'll all
even,
just
did you even recognize Jar Jar on episode 2? He was all composed. He was like a diplomat agent and
He's
stuff
barely in a cameo.
because they just basically like he
the
knows
backlash came
people.
hard.
Yes, and then goes like
It wasn't like a quiet
let's not kill
backlash,
it. Let's
dude.
not kill it, but let's just like put it on a side. And he's just not. He wasn't the same goofy person. He was just like bitter and mad and
No
I don't know, like
stepping in poo.
yes,
He was a
like,
politician,
oh,
yeah.
Yokoto Banta Putu.
Yeah, Jar Jar got his ass whooped back behind the scenes. George had a talk with him. He's like,
Yeah.
listen, it's not gonna work.
So then,
We're gonna have
you know,
to
like
scale
just
back.
just to finish that point, the Force Awakening has to deal with just
Of
that.
course, there's gonna be a
with
bunch
all
of
these,
new-
with all these people who have powers, and then he needs to go
Well, now
find
it's
them and
Luke's
try
job
to.
to go and find them.
Right.
Yeah,
the-
he needs to rebuild the Jedi Order.
It's like,
The
you,
last-
I
find the planet.
recognize you are a Jedi.
The last film was called Return of the Jedi. I mean,
Yeah, he's back.
we're back. You know,
We're
the
back.
good guys are here. It's
But it's
just
gonna take time.
Right,
That's
that's
why
the
I think
time.
there's a good
When you-
the 30-year
yeah.
gap.
when
works
you
in
literally
favor.
had an era. I imagine any Jedi following the extermination of the original temple would still be an outlaw of some sort. Like if anyone actually
Yeah.
proclaimed to be a Jedi, you'd be signing a death
You know what?
warrant.
Another
So
problem
they'd be
this
hiding
brings me
pretty
to
well.
Another problem I had with the prequels. In the third movie, the way that he just does Order 66, and like
Everyone.
Oh,
is-
he
yeah.
just kill them all in
Order
one
66.
instance. Like that, just like it kills too much potential for cool, long-running stories. Like the hunt for the Jedi's should have been like Vader's true descent, right? Like his mission is that like
Well, they had to
there's
wrap.
Jedi's everybody. There's Jedi's all over the place. It's time for Vader to go start hunting.
Yeah.
They
No,
did kill a
like-
lot of them in a relatively short span in the film, but it wasn't all of them, from what we understand of the
They
story.
made it
Yeah.
seem like it was all of them.
I mean, okay,
You
if
know?
you got 90% of
majority.
your people are gone
The
in
majority.
one day, it's gonna feel that way.
Because Yoda gets away, like Obi-Wan Kenobi gets away, and a bunch of others probably get away. The thing
Yeah,
is
we
that,
just
you know,
have to like,
they're-
but it's like it leaves it to us to just sort of assume and fill in the blanks. Like,
Well, that's why you got these middle movies coming out between 3 and 4 and
Look,
all these stories.
On that note,
Almost.
on that note, sadly,
that would have been kung fu
just-
fu skills if I ever saw.
we're out of time.
Oh,
sadly.
man, already?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's
Damn.
just like it flies. Like, and we didn't even talk about Kung Fu Panda in the Star Wars universe.
Wow, and I'm sure we can go
that
20.
planet could be a Star Wars planet.
Who?
The Kung Fu.
The Kung Fu Panda?
planet.
The Kung Fu Panda planet should be a Star
If
Wars
anything, Lucas has proved that bears are efficient at war.
Yeah, they're efficient at war.
Look
They're
at, I mean,
efficient at war.
they destroyed. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Star Wars fan will crucify me for calling Ewoks bears, but those were like
They sure were bears.
bear-like creatures. Were
They're like those ugly dogs that are like what is
Pugs?
the ones that had like the face that looks like an Ewok.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
well,
that
they
one.
turned the
That's
tide of the entire war. So, I mean,
Well, that battle.
This
All
is-
right.
This
This was
is-
fun.
was-
I love talking
was
about
Wednesday.
Star Wars.
we'll never have enough time to talk
There
about
goes
Star
Wednesday.
Wars.
So I hope you like talking about Star Wars. Otherwise, this
Oh,
was a really
God.
bad episode.
Don't hate us.
Shit.
But you know what?
Dumb
I wouldn't be surprised if just the fact that this was our topic makes this the most popular show we have.
maybe.
Like
I mean,
the
as long
only
as-
one to break like a
hashtag
million.
Star Wars, and then it's gonna pop up in like everybody in the world.
Right?
Yeah, it happens.
Star
And
Wars.
there's so much more to talk about it.
Paradox.
Damn it.
I don't know.
The Star Wars paradox.
Thank you for joining us today on Wednesday and hanging out with us. Come back tomorrow. We'll be back again with Vidal Diaz, and we'll be talking about something else.
Something else. The secret
surprise.
topics.
A surprise.
Secret
Oh,
topics.
man. I hate
Secret
surprises.
topics.
Please share the video. Tell your friends. Word of mouth. You know, if you're not clicking the button and do it the old-fashioned way.
Argue with us about Star Wars.
Yeah,
Argue with us, like,
We're open.
use
We're
their
game.
Twitter account.
Yeah.
And, like,
Tell
no,
us if our ideas are bunk.
Yeah.
Let's fix Midichlorians. Hashtag fix
Midichlorians.
It's midichlorians.
I
That's a
think
good
we
one.
can do it. I want JJ to get wind of my fix.
Definitely.
And then just like
A fixed
put
Midichlorian movie.
Put it into episode 8 or something. You know, just like a quick reference.
What if they
Yeah,
choose never?
like,
If they
it.
choose never to address Midichlorians, I think we'd all be just. as
No,
happy,
I think that it bears addressing. It's too big. It's an elephant in the room.
In the room, okay.
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like fix
It's not.
this.
It's not like it's not the uncle or the cousin that nobody talks about and he never comes to family reunions.
No, that's Jar Jar.
like this.
That's Jar Jar. Never mentioned.
It's like,
him.
oh god, who called Jar Jar?
Unless it's like to show
Fix that.
his bones.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
His
show his
bones,
bones
definitely.
in this film.
No, don't like. He's the one we don't talk about. I
His
think.
bones.
Share it. Like us. Subscribe,
Yes,
please.
we need 500 followers.
Maybe we'll have it by this time.
Maybe we'll have it by this time. Who knows? Surprises. Surprise.
Surprise us.
We're not easy to surprise, but you can do it.
You
can do it.
You can find us on Twitter.
We
I
have-
am at John in Paradox.
We have so many friends. Why are we at 500 already? Like, what's
You
happening?
don't
Yeah, I have
Friends
500
as you think.
Facebook friends. Like this is, I have well over that number. So this is a problem.
My
People
mom,
aren't willing to
my
click
mom doesn't
subscribe.
speak English. I'm here
You're
already.
running us-
Subscribe.
You're running us into the ground.
I know.
What are you?
Jose at Jose in
It's
Paradox.
been on the bottom of the screen the whole
Shit.
time.
Oh yeah, it's been
Jose
right there.
in
It's been
Paradox.
right there in front of my Ewoks.
We'll see you
And
tomorrow.